Pleased to have our friend of the show back on OneSoccer today. That is head coach of the men's national team, John HERDMAN. We're just a week away from the final round of the World Cup qualifiers resuming, John, so really appreciate you taking the time here. We're pretty excited to get out to BMO Field. We'll talk about home field advantage a little later on. But let's first just talk about big picture, John, and the year that has been, and how the men are in the final round of World Cup qualifying for the first time since 1997. Looked exceptional in the Gold Cup competition as well. What gives you the belief that this is a team that in this final round can finish top three?
I think that it all just stems from we get one shot at this, and every man that I've spoken to, there's an excitement. They talk about the opportunity, and there's a feel, Andy, and I think it's the feeling that means more than anything. You can feel that they're ready to take on the responsibility of qualifying this team, and that means going to places that you don't really want to go to play football. But I don't think that's going to bother them. There's a feeling in the group of excitement, opportunity, and that this is our time. So, you know, when you feel that as a coach, you're in a much better space than you are when you don't.
John, let's walk through the squad, the 23-man squad that you've named. It's impressive. There's experience, there's versatility, adaptability, and a lot of familiar names and faces that we've seen over the course of the spring and the summer. Good to see Atiba back in the team as well. Perhaps you can walk us through the selection process, also keeping in mind no Scott Arfield for this window as well, and no new young players that have come into your camp as well. Perhaps you could just walk us through the selection.
Yeah, it's a tough selection. There's a lot of young players that are in good form in MLS. There's players in Europe that are getting valuable minutes. But I think right at the core of this, there's a group of players that started the journey in March. Those were the guys that put it on the line. You know, they risked coming into international environments with a COVID reality. They risked themselves going into places like Haiti to carry this country forward. So, you know, when you create that sort of camaraderie, the team spirit, like I say, the feel that's coming through, there's a band of brothers that are coming together that, you know, really understand what this is about. And I wanted to give those players that opportunity to come together again and be part of the experience here in Toronto and an opportunity to do something in the US. So we know it's going to be a long campaign, Gareth. I think anyone not on the list now will have an opportunity as injuries, suspensions, all start to unfold. But I think, you know, as a coach and looking at how the team has came together, it's hard not to look past that group of men that did it for us. You know, they took us here, and some of them took us to a semi-final of a Gold Cup and showed they can compete, you know, with the best in CONCACAF.
Yeah, it does look like a very, very strong group, John, and obviously great to see Atiba Hutchinson back in the mix. Just to follow up on what Gareth asked, was Scott Arfield someone who is in consideration for this squad, or what's that situation like at the minute?
Yeah, in consideration. I mean, Scott's a tremendous player, and as you can see with Rangers, he's, you know, getting some good minutes across Europe and at his club. But we had a great conversation. We've had an open conversation now for 2 years around his role in the men's national team. You know, Scott was ready to come in and ready to answer the call when he gets it. But I think, you know, he can see the bigger picture. He's been in winning teams. He understands, you know, culture, team spirit. And he understands that there's a group of players that got us to here, and they deserve that opportunity. And his time will come. And I think we're all aware that, you know, he will get an opportunity on this campaign, but the time's not right yet. It's time to let these guys, you know, earn their shirt again and keep their shirt. And that's the level of competition. You know, if Scott Arfield is on the sideline now looking in, and you know, it tells you that every man in this team has got to keep tight hold of that shirt. You know, there's no no margins for error in their off-field behaviors, and ultimately what they do on the field's got to be delivering. So, that's I think what we've all dreamed of, to have that level of competition in the Canadian national team.
Mm-hmm.
And John, we've been dreaming for a
Absolutely.
while for you guys to come home and play on home soil. What does
Yes.
it mean to finally have gotten that permission and play in front of Canadians?
Well, I know a lot of people have put a lot of hard work in to make this happen. It wasn't an easy process. I know that for sure, listening to the team behind the team at head office. So, big thanks to everyone that put the work in. But I think you all know what this means. That night, against the US, that last 20 minutes when, the fans really kicked in and we were 1-0 up, and you could really feel them just willing us to get the result. And, we get that again, playing in Chicago, tough matches against Suriname and Haiti without fans. It's not easy. I think for our players, that when you represent your country, there's something about coming home and playing in front of your family, your friends, and wearing that red shirt and being somewhere in the country that you're representing. So it's a special time. The players are super excited. I had leaders on a Zoom meet the other week, and they were climbing through the screen. They are super excited about, playing in front of the Toronto fans, and more importantly, just coming back home.
Speaking about not being easy, 3 games in 7 days with the stakes incredibly high, 2nd, 5th, 8th. I mean, your head's probably spinning right now just thinking about it, John. How difficult will that window be, these 3-match windows, and how are you going about preparing and having your players prepared as much as possible for them?
Yeah, it's a new phenomenon for everyone. So I think everyone's in the same boat in terms of trying to understand the scouting logistics, the turnaround time. But I think the biggest thing you have to consider is this is a 14-game campaign over 8 months. And you cannot look at each window in isolation. You have to look at how you work with the players, how you utilize the players in that window. And then ultimately, what have they got coming in? What have they got going out? In the 3-week turnaround we have to the next window. So that it's a really careful planning process. So, imagine every fan will expect Alphonso Davies to be playing, 90 plus minutes across 3 games. I'm not sure that that's going to help him when we get to Jamaica, Mexico, and the games back home here in the October period. And I have to think at that level, because I know coming out of that, he goes back to Bayern with a game on the Saturday, Champions League on the Wednesday, a game on a Saturday. And, we've got to look at the mental, emotional states of those players as well as, protecting them. So we have our top players ready when they need to perform. So we have to be very strategic in each window, across windows. And that's taken everyone out their comfort zones in terms of the planning. 3 games is tricky, very tricky.
We'd be remiss, John, if we didn't ask you about Tajon Buchanan. It's incredible what this kid is doing in Major League Soccer right now, and just how happy are you to see another player make that jump to a Champions League club?
Yeah, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. He really has shown a maturity in his performances at international and club level, and thoroughly deserved. I think it's a great decision, to go to a club that's going to give him Champions League opportunities, maybe Europa League opportunities, and to be in a winning culture in Europe. There's high expectations at the club he's going to. So, for us, it bodes well to have another, player playing in one of the top, 5, 6, 7, 8 leagues in Europe. And those learnings they bring back, you've seen it. You've seen the resilience of Jonathan David and Kyle Larin to be able to keep their performance levels in tough matches for Canada at the highest level. And that's what I'm learning when these guys come back in. They just have a greater propensity to deal with the big moments and the pressure of the big games, like qualifying for the octagon.